Good evening and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. We are about halfway through, or a little bit beyond that actually, the round robin phase, and today we'll only be casting recommendations and as a special the the bottom part of the bracket. And well, starting out with the recommendations, so we'll have those out of the way. We've got a game of Brian Weber versus Simplicity. And Simplicity is going for 3 bases, same can be said for Brian Weber, and Weber is going for a very quick lair, and that looks to be a Spire. It has been new today on the stream, so you can probably imagine what this is going to do. And Simplicity is countering with 2 more in-base hatches and some Hydras, and transferring a worker beyond the blockade of these Zerglings, so that's pretty well done. The base is operational already, and as you can see there is an Evo chamber as well, so we might actually see some Sunkens as well. So Brian Weber sitting back on 37 worker, Simplicity at exactly, oh well no, it's not exactly the same, but pretty much similar, and going for a 4th base, and now leading the charge with a handful of Zerglings, but that's way too many Sunkens, and the Zerglings will have to retire. Hydras are out already. And it looks like Brian Weber is going to take another base as well, 2 bases. Wow, that's pretty aggressive. And the first mutas are out, so that is going to start off the game as far as major engagements are concerned. And Simplicity is sitting back with a tidy number of Hydras, so right now I think that Simplicity knows what's coming, and that is mutas. Some Overlords are killed, and the Hydras are just sitting back, relaxing, and only once a Hydra has been killed they start to assume some defensive posture. And Brian Weber is going to complete these 2 more bases, has got a little bit more workers, so we'll have an equal advantage a little bit later on. That said, shouldn't really lose all these mutas because the army supply is only 12, and although a lot of Zerglings are going to take damage, I think once the Hydras rock up to the bases of Brian Weber where there aren't any Sunkens, it's going to be pretty hard going for the mutas to hold off the Hydras. This splitting of Hydras and Zerglings is costing the Zerglings a lot of life, really. But the Queen's Nest is being attacked, that's good. And now the Hydras are in range of the Sunkens, and that is way too many Sunkens for the Hydras as well. The Queen's Nest survives, that's good, but the Hydra count is slowly growing, and Simplicity as well is taking more and more bases, building a couple of spores everywhere. At least in the main, not in the natural, and at the expo we've got 2. But Brian Weber is going to explode soon because it's got 60 workers, while Simplicity's only got 46, and that is going to be a bit of a difference. Now army-wise, Brian Weber is not building anything at all, that's really strange. Only got these mutas, 8 mutas, that's all. Upgrade-wise, lots of upgrades, all kinds of exotic stuff as well. And it's producing more, finally more mutas. So now the Hydras are coming out again, and Simplicity hasn't got the greatest economy compared to that of Brian Weber, but has got about a quadruple army strength, and there are lurkers in there as well, so any ground forces, if there are any, are going to have to face a stiff fight, and there isn't any defense at all, so these Zerglings are going to do away with a fair number of Zerglings, while the Hydras occupy the mutas, and there are only 12 mutas, so that's not an awful lot. You can see what's happening to the bases of Brian Weber because of that. This base is still completely untouched. There is a Sunken over there, so that might have been nice, but this base has been razed to the ground, and only a smattering of creep is remaining. So Simplicity doing pretty well, and Brian Weber still only building mutas. We've got 14 mutas, and that's about it. Oh, and a lot of Sunkens as well, but that is a lot of money. And the Overlords aren't really there. It's only building 1 Overlord at a time. And once you reach a production stage like this, you need to build 10 Overlords at a time, because there are so many hatches and so many larvae that you could easily handle a lot more. Okay, this base is scouted as well. You could handle a lot more Overlords, and you can see immediately supply blocked again, and still it's those 14 mutas which are going to have to do the work for Brian Weber, while Simplicity is creating a huge army. You can see the production tab all kinds of upgrades which are actually of use, and Brian Weber is making ground upgrades, but no ground units yet. So this base gets raided, all the workers killed, but the defense is still there, and with a couple of more workers I think that Brian Weber is going to be okay. The main army of Simplicity is going to sit over here, and perhaps we are going to see another nice drop play, but for now the ground army is moving out, and this base is protected by only 2 sunken, so if the army is going to hit there, I don't really think that these mutas, and there are still only 14 mutas for some reason, and a lot of infrastructure is being built by Brian Weber, but no actual army, and the main army of Simplicity is going to sit back in the natural choke again, now with 70 workers and a huge army. But the question is, where is that army going? And oh, there are more mutas now coming for Weber, and some ground units as well. That's good. A couple of Zerglings on the roam, and this drop over here is going to shut down this base again. I don't know if lurkers... oh, there are some Zerglings as well. So lots of damage versus these Sunkens, and I think, no, the mutas will swoop in and clean it up. That's good for Weber. This base is taking some damage though, and it's totally beyond me what this main army of Weber of Simplicities is doing here in the natural choke. Oh dear, look at how fast these 40 mutas do away with this base. Only 1 sunken spore there, and now the main army is reacting, and this base is going to be shut down. So bases are being traded. Here now 2 spores, I think that's good. And the mutas will have to run away as fast as they can, or get totally cut up on well, the muta wall. And now the entire army is going to go back to whatever. So let's see how this game is going to go, because Weber is transitioning into Hive Tech, and still only Lair Tech by Simplicity, but Simplicity has just got this way superior army and is killing units left, right and center, overrunning all the bases and coming in with some drops from the rear as well. And now with only 2 more bases, of which 1 is not mining at all, I think Brian Weber is going to have a devil of a job getting another army together. And this I like. The main army is going to fight off the mutas, while a small detachment stays behind to raise the base. Oh, and this Overlord, this Ultra, is going to get pinned down and killed by the Zergling. Ignominious death, and now it is full on defense for Brian Weber. Oh dear, there is no Overlord, so I think that this Lurker is going to do way too much damage to this base. And now this high tech army of Webers is sitting around here, going to defend against this incursion again. Small drop, gets cleaned up completely. The mutas are so powerful, and still the main army, which is basically maxed, is just sitting around here doing damn all. And Brian Weber is not going to have the money to sustain this kind of war anymore. Just 2 bases, while well, Simplicity has got much more money. Then again, I don't really know what Simplicity is going to do. It's sending out 115 army supply to deal with a single worker. And I think that despite its meager army composition, that Brian Weber's got a much better clue as to what it actually wants to do. And you can see how fast this huge muta cloud does away with this small bit of army, and this base is going to be raised record speed. Look at the hatchery. We've got this hatchery over here. I think it's going to be it's going to be ignored next. You can see how much damage these mutas are doing. The ground army of Simplicity gets soaked up. Simply not enough, and all the Hydras are over here doing God knows what. And now the main muta phalanx is going to tear into... oh, it's going to split up in a lot of parts. There's something over here as well. And I think that although a large number of mutas are going to be lost, more are coming in. And now Simplicity is going to have to play on the defense, and as long as these Hydras are running, they can't really shoot at the mutas, and the muta cloud is really too big, and it's mopping up everything, left, right and center. More swooping in from the rear. How many have we got? We've got 57 mutas. And you can have 3 spores in your main, but that's not really going to help, is it? So, with a one fell swoop, Simplicity losing the game despite having a way superior army for lots and lots of time, and Brian Weber is just going to build Sunkens or Spores on the creep of Simplicities. Yes, that's how you do it. While the main Muta army now counting 52 Mutas and still only building one Overlord at a time. I like that. But this Muta Cloud now with good upgrades, I presume, +3 armor is starting, and the attack is there already. So these are some well upgraded Mutas, and there are quite a lot of them. Now 56, good morning to you, sir. And that is just way too much damage for an undefended base to handle. And now you can see Simplicity trying to restart, but I think that the Overlords of Brian Weber's got everything well under control. And the Mutas with the damage, good lord. And I think, oh no, there is one more base over here, now with 2 Spores, but still we've got 61 Mutas, good lord. That's just way too much damage to handle, and that is going to be the GG. And yeah, let's see what we've got. We've got one more recommendation, sent to me by Martin, the author of Literbot, and is going to play Seda, and right now I should probably show you this. This is, and I'll refresh, Seda is on top with a win rate of 97.5%, 78 games won, 2 lost, 1 lost versus Crazio and 1 versus Purple Wave, I believe. Then coming the cutest, still 94%, and Ironbot, Purple Wave, Banana Brain, and let's count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Banana Brain is 5th, Killerbot 6th, very good. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Bereaver number 10, and Microwave, Proxy, Brave, Halpan, TSMU, and Woolybot is number 16, if I'm counting right. So this is going to be the cutoff, and you can see that there are a lot of bots right behind this. So it's not a run race for most of them, but this is the top 16, and we are going to be looking today at the bottom 16 really. So all these players like Fergel O'Reilly, Newbot, Delingary, Fifth Foil Legend, Random, Optimo Bot, Johan, Kaiser, Stark Russia, Jumpy Dog Bot, Marine Hell, and then the old guard, Marek, Rom Danielis, Alice, of course a little bit newer, Hannes Bradberg, Thomas Siri, and well, I think to about here, and Lucas Moravec I didn't include. So this bit of the ranking we are going to look at a little bit closer today. But first, one more recommendation. It's Martin Royaker's Literbot versus Seda. And what is Literbot going to do? Going for a barracks and a marine, always a good idea. And the scouts are going to find one another. That's good. And I don't think the first vulture is out already. And of course Marine doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell, is microing up and down the ramp, out of vision, but in the end gets clipped. Oh, and the tank is just right on time to help chase out the scouting SUV and the vulture. But Seda's already got the natural up and running, has only got 1 factory, and Literbot has got all kinds of technology but no army to speak of, and is now going to sit on top of the ramp for a little bit. And Seda is posting 2 siege tanks out on the field just to get a little bit of breathing room between the natural and its first defenses. Literbot is going to sit back, and that is something that you shouldn't really do for too long if you're a 1-base terran. You can see the army is bigger, but with these 2 command centers producing SCVs at record speed, the economy of Seda is going to grow, and the economy of Seda will be bigger and better, and Literbot will still have this entire map to cross. Has no superior upgrades, and this army is just sitting there, and it's only waiting for Seda to do something, perhaps take another base. And now you've got this this siege train pulling in, and the floating buildings, so perhaps even a couple of buildings in the main base are going to be ranged, and still no natural for Literbot. Still no third for Seda as well. Seda sticking to 51 workers, Liter to 25, floating building overhead, and I think that Seda could not be happier with this position, and it's sending out a small reckon party to make sure that there isn't anything going on, and to defend as well. So 2 siege tanks, 2 Goliaths, that I think is an adequate defense for this base, and scouting is always going on. So Seda as happy as a clam in a shell, Literbot still with the army advantage, but with the main base a little bit mined out already. Now it's going to move out. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, and that's just throwing away. Oh, well, this tank did get a little bit of damage, but that was just 20 supply down due for no good reason at all. And here goes another Goliath. So I don't think that Literbot, perhaps I took the wrong game. Martin said something to me about a bunker rush, but I just grabbed the replay, which I thought was it, and then I took this one. And you can see that Literbot is bleeding units left, right, and center, or mostly in the center of my screen. And Seda is just sitting back happily macroing, defending very well, taking also control point of this bridge just to make sure it's not going to be overrun, and that's just so very impressive. Could make some more mine shields, but all in all, I think that the gameplay of Seda is really impressive, and just taking its sweet time, taking a lot of tanks to the battle, sitting back, killing units, and Literbot is just throwing it away at this point. That's very sad, and this is going to be a new base. Vultures will do the first scouting, and then these 2 Goliaths and the siege tank, 2 tanks, 2 Goliaths, just to make sure there isn't a mine or anything else funny. And all the bases saved to are now mined by Seda. Seda is approaching max. Upgrade wise, Martin hasn't got a thing in the world. That's really strange, and the army has completely been annihilated. And now Sabres is rolling up, so I'm sorry for taking the wrong game. And let's see what we've got more. No, that's it. So these were the recommendations. Seda demonstrates why it's the #1 bot in the running right now, and it's up to the other bots to surprise it in the elimination stage, which will start in a couple of weeks probably. So GG with a drop on top. Here it went, 3 drop ships, and that was the game. So now what we've actually been waiting for is the theme of the week, and that is the lower bit of the bracket. We've got Alice playing as the Red Zerg, extracts a trick, very neat, and we've got Nightcat Terran. And Nightcat is a bot developed for big game hunters play, but then brought forward to normal money maps to well, compete in the tournament basically, or in not in this tournament, just in general, compete with the competition. Oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And Alice is going for an in-base hatch and a spawning pool, and is going to make some hatches. While Nightcat has a nice defensive setup, the wall is not tight, but this is going to help the bunker immensely. And I think with 2 barracks you can produce a lot of Zerglings. Alice is going for the gas, and that is something that's very good to see, because I don't really, I'm not operating from the top down. I'm just going to have a closer look at these players over here, but even if you're in the bottom 16-ish, these bots are very versatile. They will expand, actually they will mine gas, and I think that's probably going to be for speed. Let's see what's happening. And Nightcat isn't in the top regions either, but still a very decent one base marine thing, and taking a command center at the natural as well, and making upgrades. So stim already done, range starting marines, and I think, oh, here come the Zerglings, the scouting party, while the rest of the Zerglings keep hidden in the main. But both players have got quite a nice army. Alice on only 8 supply, but is building a lot of tech, is building a lot of upgrades before it's building any army at all. And Nightcat has got the siege mode ready already, and that is going to be one hard push to hold for Alice. Alice has got 2 Sunkens, but really ought to produce a lot of army, and it's only producing workers. It's got 40 workers and no army at all, or nothing compared to this stim bio army. You can see 1 medic gets killed, and this base is going to be all for it. Sunkens full, work is being sent out still, and that's something that these not so advanced bots don't really have. They can't really determine where it's safe or unsafe to send units into. And Nightcat is macroing happily away. Has got a lot of money, has only got 2 barracks. These 2 factories aren't doing anything. Oh, it's supply block. That's a pity. Should build a depot, but it's stuck on something, I believe. And by the grace of that, Alice is holding because Nightcat just stopped making stuff and has got 20 army supply, which is now defending. Oh, and it's trying to take this base over here, which is pretty ambitious, but isn't really going to work. And the next 20 army supply is going to be sent out. And still there is no depot, so stuck on 62 supply, and I hope it's not going to build any workers. Meanwhile, Alice is going to make some more fighting troops, and let's see how it's going to do. Having the high ground, even versus the Marines, is pretty good. The tanks on the low ground, though, are going to do a lot of damage, and these Hydras are sort of holding, but they are taking a bit of a pounding from these tanks. Whoa, 3 tanks still there, and still Nightcat is taking this command center, so that's pretty ballsy. And I think with the rallies eventually that Alice can hold this. But Nightcat is also building some more workers, so that's going to cut in the max army supply it's got. But 10 more supply max because of this command center, that's always good. And now I think that the... there are some reinforcements coming, namely 2 tanks, but Alice has got these 3 hatches and a decent economy, so is going to be able to project a bit of force. Should do something about that threat in its natural. And oh god, Nightcat is just building command centers at this point. So not building any more depots, but having built this command center over here and this over here. This one it might probably lose, at least if these Hydras aren't so hell-bent on killing SCVs, and should kill the tanks first. But meanwhile, I think that this multi-base economy is just going to slowly starve Alice. And there are just way too many tanks. You can also see that they are unsieging a lot. If there are no enemies present, they will unsiege, and you can see why that's not entirely efficient. If you had a unit approach and your tanks were siege, you could just kill them as soon as they came into range, which is not happening at this point. Meanwhile, Nightcat is just building more command centers everywhere, or everywhere at bases really, and is still supply blocked. That's really weird. Upgrade-wise, not doing too great either. Alice is doing okay, but just there are too many siege tanks in the natural. And I'm going to speed it up just a notch because I just want to know how it's going to end. Nightcat mining out the Alice mining out the main and feeding Hydras in one at a time, while yeah, lots of command centers being built, lots of comsats. Otherwise, no depots being built by Nightcat, so that's pretty strange. And now mined out, and the tanks clean up the drones. So yeah, there we go. Still not really intent on killing the main base, perhaps only after they are going to establish a command center there. You can see that Alice is still mining a lot of gas and could build something, but it can't really decide on what to do. And Nightcat is not producing anything either, so yeah. I was building a barracks, that's good. Otherwise, not really much happening. SCVs being transferred. Oh, and a depot being built. That's very good. And immediately it's being filled, that space in. Oh, and now the army is coming around. Oh, and finally, after reaching nearly 100. Oh, 70 army supply. That's nearly 100 workers. And still building more. Nightcat decides to advance. So that's the GG. Let's hop into the next game, which will be Hannes Bradberg versus Simplicity. Simplicity playing as the yellow Zerg and Bradberg playing as the white Terran in the top bit of this 2-player map. Of course, destination doesn't really have top right and left corner, so it's a bit of a bad startup for me. But yeah, well, there you go. So first, command center being taken, natural being taken by Zerg as well, and then in-base hatchery, and I really like that. So even for a not top Zerg, the play is really rather good, and Bradberg isn't too shabby either. Just a couple of barracks, and now a small train of Marines, and I don't really think at this stage that you're going to get much done with a couple of non-upgraded non-Marines without medic support. You can see no academy either, just a lot of Marines, and although this Burg bot is a little bit peculiar in what it does, it can sort of do it very well, and if you haven't seen it play yet, I won't spoil it for you, but it's not really the most serious attempt at an AI, and that's I like that as well, because it's just fun to watch once it gets the play going. Meanwhile, it's just taking a lot of damage from the Sunkens, which is not really good. And the Simplicity is populating the natural somewhat. Oh, and it can't really move out here down right yet, but it is mining out these neutral zero mineral fields, and then can take the mineral only in the bottom left, and lots of Marines being lost. That's awful. Finally, the Academy, what's it making? Stim and range have been done, while Lurker Aspect and Zergling Speed are completed for Simplicity. Now, medics are come into play, and you can see that Burg is just going to build a lot of barracks and a lot of forces, and build all kinds of crap in the middle of the map. Oh, even defending, that's pretty well done. While probably going to take, oh, not another base, just more building space, and this is not going to be command center, looks like, or is it? I think those start differently. Just going to have to wait. Oh, and there is a large chunk of Marine approaching this base, but with one Lurker and some Sunkens behind. Oh, that's going to be good. It's Cloak. And if Burg can keep Simplicity a little bit longer in his base, we might see something funny. And that's just wacky to E-base right here. Barracks all over the place, taking lots of bases. That's another comsat, looks like. So, yeah, there we go. And we saw... I got to look for it. Oh, we got this COVID ops going, and we got some ghosts as well. So with all these command centers, I think that the next step will be sort of logical. This is not a command comsat. And these Marines are just, and ghosts are just keeping Zerg in its place, but Zerg is just taking more and more bases. Has got a puny army, rather low worker count as well. And what the hell is this? So command center over here, command center over there. Oh yeah, there we go. Nuclear silo, and I just hope that the infantry can hold the Zerg back a little bit. Burg's got the messed up army supply ever, is only building ghosts at this point. Oh, and it's starting a nuke as well. So that is actually what this bot is all about, but I think it's going to lose horribly in units and buildings, and that's the nuclear silos that are at the far edges of its empire, so that those buildings may be lost quite rapidly. And meanwhile, only ghosts are being made and some nukes. And meanwhile, buildings are just being built in the middle of the map. Those ghosts have got cloaks, so yeah, I think they've got quite nice range. But of course, there are overlords, and versus a Protoss or a Terran, this might work a little bit better. But holding back the main Zerg army in the middle of the map is sort of doable with this kind of an army. And now it's got one nuke. Oh, and the nuke is... Oh, I missed the first wild rolls. I'll draw back. Oh yeah, that was an... Oh, let's do that again. So the ghosts are rolling up. Oh, and this one is just right out of range. And where is it going to land? Oh, just here. So this is going to... Look at the supply. This is going to hurt. Here comes the nuke. And the army is still there. The overlords are still there. And that was a lot of damage in one nuke. And then the lurker gets scanned and gets gunned down with this horrible ghost damage. They don't do any damage at all. So that was pretty damaging for Simplicity, actually. And although the assault on this base is still going and might actually succeed, oh, another ghost and another nuke. So this base, I think, is going to... Oh no, the hatchery still sort of stands. And there are no overlords, so Simplicity is massively supply blocked. It's building overlords and hatches for all it can do. And now I think, yeah, this lurker might just die. Oh, and the Marine kills the hatchery. So, are there any more nukes? No, not at present. Are there any going to be built? Yes, 2 will be done momentarily. And as there are little forces over here, well, there will be some Zerglings. And if the medics and the Marines catch up to the ghosts, perhaps we might see some nukes on the main as well. The lurker which was here is now dead, so that's not going to work. And let's just keep an eye on the unit composition tab, so nukes will show up here as well, and here is one. Yes, there it is. So, where is it going to land? Just in, no, and no cover for the ghost launching the nuke. And this one is going to launch as well, but it's going to be cut down by the Zerglings as well, so that's not really going to work as well as planned. And this is costing Burg a lot of money in nukes, but then again, it's got the map, it's got all kinds of facilities everywhere. And it would just like to have a couple of... Oh, that's a very proly placed lurk. Can even range the silo, that's good. And as you can see, oh, now the infantry is just overrunning the main base. There was just nothing there. And some marines have been added. Could do with a couple of more medics. But then again, the medics are, well, sightseeing a little bit. And the main base is totally being gutted by Burg. And you have a nuke being launched, but then again, in plain sight of a Hydra, so that's not going to work at all. And this bio army is going to be pretty good, because it's 60-70 supply and has got some medics, cloaked units, a lot of range, and although these ghosts don't do the most damage, oh, the main base survives. That's good for simplicity, because that would be your... oh dear, the ghosts. And now you're going to have to kill 2 lurkers with just ghosts. That's going to be quite horrible. On top of the ramp, this is going to be a bloody massacre. Scan goes off, but the units are buggering off again. So that's not going to work, and that was just a very costly defense while the lurkers are left over here to regenerate. But the main army is trying to go for the main once more. Looks like. One more lurker over here. It's going to be scanned and killed. These 2 lurkers over here are still there, doing a lot of damage, and again a silo is being threatened. As is this silo over here. Are there any nukes? No, there aren't. But the bio army by itself is now strong enough to kill all the technology. And now basically there is nothing to be done for simplicity, because it's got no tech buildings nowhere. And that's going to be rather painful. While, oh, it's going to have a hive soon. That's always good. And Burg is just trying to recover, and the workers, a lot of workers being killed over here, just moving aimlessly around, and this base is being killed, so I don't think that the economy for Burg is the best either. And now Simplicity is rebuilding a lot of workers and a lot of technology as well. And where is the army? Oh, Burg's army is defending this base, which is good, and still building a lot of ghosts. So, even though not playing really the most serious game, I think that Burg is doing pretty well, but just trying to kill a couple of... Oh, now they're cloaked, that's good, but once the overlords arrive, I think it's going to be over pretty quickly. There is another bunch of infantry in the main base, killing a lot of overlords and taking a lot of damage from Zerglings. Killing buildings with this paltry army is not really possible, I believe. And Burg is just doing things the very hard way. The production tab is looking like this once more. Only 1 silo, so not that many nukes. And Simplicity is coming to come back into the game. Now has a decently supplied army, and still there is a huge Burg army. Oh, it's called up over here. Oh, that's what it is. I thought, well, where's that huge army? And they're all cloaked. So they are expending a lot of energy, and Burg is just standing around over here with the entire army stuck on this ramp, while Simplicity is killing off all the buildings everywhere, taking some more bases. And you can see that although the army supply is only 30, it's going to increase, because it just got the map and all the production of Burgers over here, and Burg just can't get out of the main anymore, and that's just completely wacky. So the Zerglings are all over it, and Burg will run out of money pretty soon. It's only got 18 more workers. A couple of them are over here, which are going to be shut down. And that was the end of the income of Hannes Burg. We'll build another silo. He's got a bit of money on the side, but all in all, it's not really going to work, and some overlords are going to drop something somewhere. Natural, meanwhile, being overrun. And of course, this position is really hard to attack, and I don't know if this is a safe route for these overlords. Doesn't look like it, but with some drops behind the enemy lines, I think that this depot and oh, this factory could be all for it. But it's not going to be attacked. Meanwhile, Simplicity just doing its thing and building more stuff and is going to take the game probably. And even though Burg might eventually move out of this base, it's only got one more comsat, so these lurkers are going to do an absolute murderous job now. This entire army's unstuck. The Ghost will cloak, but then again, there aren't... Oh god, the lurkers are taking a little bit too much damage and now going to be killed. So Burg's got this one last army of about 50 army supply with a couple of medics, but there is just way too much stuff for Simplicity, and I think with the ramp now being sieged by lurkers, the army supply of Burg running down, although there is 3k in the bank. Oh, nice drop of a couple of lurkers from behind. Simplicity takes it, and Burg demonstrates why it's not ranked a little bit higher. Next game up, it's Garm versus Toothpick Cactus, and it really surprised me to see Garmbot, because it's about Garm, but Toothpick is actually ranked higher. It's a pity to see Garmbot so low on the ladder. It was pretty effective, but nowadays its play has pretty much been solved, and this SCV knows what it wants to do. It's going to kill the hatchery, and Garm is going to build a couple of... oh dear, not even going to call bluff on this SCV. It's going to try and kill the base over here. It did start the deconstruction of that command center, but still the bunker is there, and with a bunker versus a handful of stray Zerglings, that's not going to be much of a problem to hold for Toothpick Cactus. But you can see the game plan of Garm in operation already. It's got a couple of bases, and we'll just take bases and just A-move stuff into the enemy base while the extractor is going to be killed by an SCV, and I think afterwards... oh, that was the sickest hold by this Hydra. Very well done. And Toothpick now has the natural expansion in the... no, not the mineral only, in the 3rd position. So is doing okay, and meanwhile more Hydras arrive at the natural choke, and Toothpick is only building from 2 barracks, so its army size is pretty small and hasn't really got an idea of what it wants to do. It's trying to defend this base, which is good. Medic and 2 Marines are pretty potent, and Garm is just going to attack the bunker, which is, I think, going to be repaired. No. So that's also a sign of a not so advanced player that doesn't have recognition of when to repair a building. But I think with a Vulture versus the Zerglings, that's going to be okay. But Garm has got 4 bases up already, is not mining the most gas. In fact, is hardly mining any gas at all. Will make lurkers soon though, so that's going to be good. And with the 4th base started, I think that it's going to be in a position to produce a lot of units. But now Toothpick will have its army together and groups, and although it might perhaps lose this one Vulture, the other one will probably kill the Hydra. Oh, and another Vulture loss. So Stim Bio with a couple of medics can probably hold a lot of Garm's forces, and Garm has got 30 workers. And building, what's this going to be? It's going to be a Spire, so it's just going to build all kinds of units, A-move that right into the enemy, and if Toothpick defends even remotely well with 3 bases, it should be in a good position to hold any kind of nastiness that Garm can throw at it. Garm having taken another base and taking 1 more. So you can see where this is going to be a problem if you don't crush the bases of Garm and keep moving units around without attacking. It's going to be pretty hard, and that scan was basically wasted because there weren't any forces in the direct proximity of this lurker. And now you can see that some units will be lost by the not optimal army movement of Toothpick Cactus. Now this lurker might be killed. Another scan going off. Wraith overhead, of course, pretty good versus a unit which can't attack air. But then a Mutas over here, there are medics, and it's just going to end in a large melee of units coming from everywhere. And you can see this Hydra, just 1 Hydra being sent over here, but by the time it reaches the base, oh dear, yes, it will just find some friends, and then perhaps one of them will take a bite at one of the units. There is a lurker over here, the Muta has been cleaned up. There is a Queen, it's gathering... oh, it's got the brooding ability, it's just gathering energy for the time being and looking for a decent target, but the Wraith is after it, and as a Terran, it's very hard. Oh, now it's going to be cornered. No, not killed. It will get out. Probably... No, there it is. But there is another one. So, the last base is going to be taken by Garm as well. And Garm now has 50 workers, which isn't an awful lot, and the units just being sent in on Amu. And Toothpick Cactus has got 46 army supply, so I think it has sort of stabilized. 50 now, you can see the army supply rising, which means that the army is killing more efficiently than units are being lost. And 56 is going to be 60. And then it will start putting out Zerg bases out of order, and then it will all be over for Garm pretty soon. And this is going to be a science vessel on a mercy mission. Garm, though, isn't building a lot of upgrades, and oh dear, this Guardian is... Oh, it's building upgrades, actually. But this raid party of Toothpick Cactus is doing pretty well. Oh, Garm is defending quite well with the Guardian and 2 Lurkers. Pretty well done. This base is going to fall. That base is done for as well. And now it's 18 versus about 100 army supply. And yeah, Toothpick is just going to run away with this game. The main is mining out. Natural isn't even getting low because this base was taken first. Should take another base to mine from. But all in all, Garm's army supply is actually puny, and Toothpick Cactus is more than 100 supply ahead. Main base being gutted. And it took a while, and it could easily have snowballed the other way had Garm got control of one of these bases. But I think that Toothpick defended really rather well, and Garmbot not going to be in this game anymore. So GG. Next up is Dolphin bot. It's the white Zerg at the top right, a relatively new bot. So let's see what it's going to do. Not a 4-pool, I like that already. And tier Protoss is one of the mid-tier bots. I didn't really want to show all of the lower 16 bots playing only each other. Tier Protoss is going for a lot of cannons. And those deal with the Zerglings rather well. And it looks like Dolphin bot is just going to build a lot of Zerglings. Production tab will demonstrate this. Only Zerglings and a lot of over minerals because it's got a lot of workers and it's going to take an expansion. So now a small contingent of Zerglings is advancing on Protoss, the Protoss position. But then again, versus 4 cannons, I don't think that's... I don't think it's going to be enough. But then let's see what Dolphin is going to do next. 2 creep colonies, really rather expensive, and only 1 drone on minerals. And just built 1 more, so that's good, but the eco rate for Dolphin is pretty low. It's not building a lot of stuff, and is building some more workers now, so that looks to be okay. But meanwhile, tier Protoss is making a huge ground army, and although it's only 10 army supply versus 5 supply, 4.5 supply worth of Zerglings, that's quite decent. And Dolphin bot just wasted all of its workers on building, so hadn't the economy to do anything anymore. Now it's got some workers back on track, but again is building rather expensive stuff instead of taking more workers or more bases. So with only 12 workers 8 minutes into the game, that's not really the most, and these 2 Sunkens or these 4 Sunkens, or how many have you got, will not really help you once this Protoss death ball starts moving. Protoss with +1 will do great versus Zerglings, no superior technology. And Dolphin is just slowly slowly building workers, Zerglings and Sunkens, and those Sunkens it will need, because the Protoss army is in the move. The Zerglings aren't being moved in the most efficient manner and all get killed. And now tier Protoss is losing the first Zealots to the Sunkens. Only 4 Sunkens and a handful of Zerglings left. No higher technology, just Zergling speed, handful of Sunkens and some Zerglings. And I think that tier is just going to overrun it, especially with the +1 doing away with these Zerglings so quickly. And now the drones get all crazy and they even stop mining. So I don't think that you're going to stop a bot like tier Protoss with that. But still, with some creases to iron out, I think that Dolphin bot is going to do okay. As long as the Zerg bot doesn't start with a 4-pool, I am pretty much impressed with the new bot as it is. For now, GG, tier Protoss wins it. And now we've got 2 competitors from the class of 2013. That's almost 6 years ago now, and that's the class that Michael Cherticki, well, the boss of this beautiful tournament, really started in 2013 at the Czech Technical University. There were about 30 coders making their own bot, and some of them are still active after 5.5 years, and that is just very, very impressive. And these are 2 of them, and they have fallen behind a little bit. Of course, they haven't been updated in 5.5 years, so that's logical, but they will, I think, beautifully demonstrate the level of play we had 5.5 years ago, and it's actually not that different from what we have now. So Mate Istnik is going to start with a couple of barracks, lots of gas and some depots, and if I'm not very much mistaken, the exact same thing is going to happen over here as well. Marek Carrick is saving a little bit more money, has only got 1 Rax, and has got some gas as well, so basic functionality is all there, and is going for, looks like, an academy and a factory. And now we've got factory and an academy here as well. So Mate Istnik is a little bit ahead tech-wise, I would say, and army-wise too. Worker-wise, they're dead even, and supply-wise pretty much even as well. Both have got, or will have, comsats soon too. So I think that for basic play of 1 base, these bots do a pretty decent job. Got a turret. This is not going to be a turret, but got some. The positioning is not all that optimal. Both bots at the 6-minute mark have not taken an expansion yet, so this was similar to human play. Big macro play came later. So first, most bots just started out doing stuff on 1 base and trying to do cute with micro and the tech switches and things like that. And taking expansion was just coming in later. So at the 7.5 minute mark, Marek Carrick is taking an expansion, is going to defend it with its 30 supply army. There is a nearly 40 supply army over here by Mate Istnik, and it's going to move out, and I don't know if it's going to be because it's going to take an expansion. Yes, it is. Or if it's going to lead the charge. Oh, and Marek Carrick is taking a more aggressive posture as well. Has got 1 tank. Let's see how many tanks are over here, and the army movement, it's just basically 2 big Congo lines tearing into each other, and you can see Marek Carrick having a little bit of an advantage because of that, because this marine front is much more closely together. Then again, these 4 tanks are really doing a murderous job on them, and while some oh god, some medics are left to be killed, both armies now retire to lick their wounds and regroup. And both bots have taken the natural. Mate Istnik has only got 22 workers, is rebuilding some, so that's good. And Mate Istnik has now got a science facility. Oh god, is that going to be Covert Ops or a Physics Labs? Oh, it's going to be Physics Labs. Absolutely grand. Hope you see battle cruisers. Technology-wise, these bots can basically use most of the Terran abilities and units. They are just not really able to do so very often because they are a little bit slow compared to modern gameplay and are not always able to protect their interests. And now you can see Istnik moving out again with a superior army again. Upgrade wise it's a little bit behind, but it's got the siege mode. And oh, Istnik, no, Carrick is going to have to defend because perhaps with the bridges might do well, but I think that Istnik has found the expansion, and that's a lot of money wasted. And now let's see if there is any cancellation logic over here. Yeah, that got cancelled, so more money for Istnik, for Carrick. Istnik, though, is going to take a base over here and has got the army advantage. Cleaning up some stray units, and army movement-wise, Carrick isn't all that happy. And of course, if you are swinging a larger army around the map, you are in a natural advantage. You can see the grouping is not optimal, but compared to modern play, these mech armies are a little bit more aggressive, and you can see that Istnik is getting a little bit more done, just going to lead the charge and killing almost the entire army of Marek Carrick. Now, expansion is up. It's a pity we are not going to see what would have come off this base over here. No battlecruiser in production, none in the unit tab, and while the main base isn't even mined out yet, I think that Istnik is going to run away with this game. Now building one more building over here and a random refinery over there. They are not really as finely chiseled as some of the newer bots, but they can get stuff done. and still the tank play is pretty strong, even in the hands of a 5.5-year-old bot. So because there are many more games to come, going to go into the next game, and really wanted to look at Thomas Siri. That's Protoss, also from 2013, going to play Aya. The bot's called Aya, coded by Florian Rishu. And well, Aya is going to go for a piling gate, or what can you do as a Protoss just starting out. And perhaps this game will allow me to demonstrate one of the fine differences between these two Protoss. They can use a lot of units, they will use a lot of units, and they are a little bit slower, but still a little bit faster than Mate Isnik and Marek we saw earlier. So you can see what's happening here. Range starting for Thomas Siri, and 2 gates as well for Florian Rishu. And this appears to be some kind of Dark Templar build. So while Thomas Siri will have range, the question is, will it have some kind of detection before the Dark Templar thing gets going? And as a Dark Templar build, it's not really as all-inish as it could have been. Lots of workers, and here come the Dark Templars. So they're just going to be sent out, and some goons trying to shield the base, but there is a Robo Bay and a Robo Support Bay, so perhaps an observatory might be started soon as well. I really hope it for the sake of the game, because the Dark Templars are now reaching the goons, and the goons are trying to confuse the Dark Templars, or perhaps they are confused themselves. One of them is going off on a random mission. Oh, they haven't actually scouted this base yet, so they have scouted the units, but haven't concluded from finding units over here that the base might be here. And they are just going to visit all the bases and all the expansion on the map. While I think this is going to be the observatory, and immediately there will be started an observer. So although the army is absolutely puny for Thomas Siri, it will have an observer, and it will now be safe, especially with this Reaver. And I really don't know what these Dark Templars are doing, but they do seem to enjoy themselves a little bit. And the observer is going to chase around the map. Will we have another one? Yes. It's always a good idea to keep one with your main army as well. I don't know if that's going to happen. And I really don't know what's so special about this base for Aya. It's beyond me. It's just a large patrol. And Aya has got some observers out on the map as well. So now the engagement is there. But you can see once you are bringing gateway units to a Reaver fight, even if they be Archons, the fight will be over pretty quickly, because the damage output from these Reavers is just so heavy, especially with the splash damage. It is complete murder. And now you can see Thomas Siri rocking ahead. This entire army with shuttleless Reavers just going to advance one step at a time. Oh, these 2 observers got damaged by splash from that Archon. That was pretty pro, even if it was completely accidental. And this Nexus is a little bit off. I don't know why. Perhaps there was a unit standing over here, but still, 3rd base is taken by both players. And the observers have things well under control, and it will take a while for these Reavers to just catch up. Once they are there, though, these goons will arrive this high ridge at about the same time. And will there be... oh no, they are going to retreat, and you can see that the entire army is moving as one. And that is a little bit problematic, because now these Reavers are being killed for no good reason, and these units are not coming to help them. So that is one of the advantages that the attacking player has. And Florian Rishu's Aya, of course, I think probably has got the advantage that it can make squads. So subgroups of units to help do different things on the map. Meanwhile, the Reaver. Oh dear, there is no observer present. That's very unfortunate. One's coming up, but the Reaver is dead, and now the DT which killed is dead as well. So yeah, that's pretty okay. Oh dear, did you see that? That was the observer moving on top of the Zealot and got killed by splash damage from that Archon. Very unfortunate. Aya taking another base. Siri has got the larger army, but isn't really able to bring observer cover. The observer is pretty far in the rear, and with 2 Dark Templars working on the goons, that amounts to a substantial loss over time. and these Dark Templars are not being engaged as properly as they could have. But still, I think this Goon thing is going to do a lot of damage over here. Oh no, the Observer. Why aren't they... The Observer, it's a purple Observer. Why aren't they targeting Dark Templars? They're doing such a lot of damage. And meanwhile, the probe transfer is going through unhindered. Fourth base being taken by Thomas Siri as well. And now you can see that Aya has got a little bit of an army lead. Let's look at any kind of superior technology we are going to see. Nothing yet, just the Templar thing. And in the base of Thomas Siri, it's going to be gateway units or Zerve. So production tab will demonstrate that as well. Lots of gateway units, both players on 70 and 80 workers, so that's quite a lot eco-wise. And now it's going to be a race to gathering the most efficient army and microing it as well as you could. So Aya a little bit ahead. Don't know what the army is doing. The army has got some... Oh, here we see the units moving over here, and the Nexus getting misplaced because of that. Perhaps they are going to clear out mines, I don't really know. But then again, oh, there is battle going on over here. That's always good. And Aya is taking down one of the bases of Thomas Siri, and Thomas Siri has got a puny army. It is running too much, fighting too little, and the Dark Templars are still doing a murderous job. You can see these units are on run, so in running mode, so they don't deal any damage in return. And Aya is just getting a bigger and bigger army. Thomas Siri, though, is just not deterred, going to take these bases over here and is building some production in these bases as well, which is a feature that not all of the modern bots are doing as well. And that's serious. That's just not one gateway, that's 3 of them. And it's no accident. That is this is the main base, and it's building... oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. You can see it here again. These Dark Templars are doing so much damage. The Overlord, the Observer cover is just not there. And with 3 Dark Templars, it may look like a little bit, but actually it's doing such a lot of damage. 3 Reavers, countless goons just killed for no good reason. And although Siri was in there, in the main base, attacking stuff, now is having to fall back and still losing Reavers in the middle of your army, and that's just not good at all. Oh, now we're going to have High Templar tech. Is Storm ready? No, it's not. So maybe for Archons, still this one Dark Templar is going to town on these hapless goons. That's very unfortunate. And still the army is patrolling this base over here. And one of the reasons for that may be that the big Terrans, like Icelab was a very dominant bot in 2013, 2012. That was really something else. It's from Japan. And there was an entire team of students of a university working on it. So it was very, very hard to beat. Oh, and now another skirmish. And again, there appears to be... Oh, there is Overlord observer coverage now, so that's good. But now the entire army is on run-away mode again, and lots of life is lost due to just not making up your minds, and that's a pity. Meanwhile, though, we've got a beautiful slaughterfest on our hands. Florian Rishu is doing a lot of damage. Siri has built some buildings over here as well, some production. But Aya appears to be going for the kill, has got more income right now, and is taking down the bases of Thomas Siri. And Thomas Siri's army is still pretty strong and capable, but just too much of it is being lost in the middle of the map to Dark Templars. And this base, I like that, because Aya just... Oh, now Thomas Siri has got some DTs of his own, that's good, and is doing a lot of damage here as well. There are some cannons, so it's not a one race yet. And this, I think, might be the game, because those are the last workers. This is the last bit of income for Thomas Siri. Oh, and this would be either, but here is the main army, and here are the DTs. So Aya doing things in 2 groups, and Thomas Siri really losing this game because it just can't get its squad micro, if it has any, beyond one big. Oh, this is pretty painful too. So Aya is not really on top with the observers either. But I think that Aya in the end will win this. This base is just a lot of pylons, and I don't really know why Aya is still building pylons. It's got a lot of money. And taking just one more base while the main army cleans it up. So that's the GG. Thomas Siri doing okay, but in the end it's these fine touches which can have a great impact on your game. Next game up. and I'm going to have to do things a little bit faster because there are so many games coming to come yet in this broadcast. We've got Optimo, and Optimo is a bot whereby Johan Hagelback can play random, so rolled as a Terran in this game and was made for students in an AI class to use. And its documentation is still pretty good, but to modern standards it's really rather limited, and it's a little bit older as well. So let's see what it's going to do. On the other end we've got Styx, and Styx is the green Zerg, and both of them are from the lower bit of the bracket, going for a very quick lair but also for an expansion, so that's pretty well done. Always pays to have one more hatchery. And Optimo is going to play it very safe with 2 bunkers on top of the ramp, filling all of them. And of course these Zergers are not going to get anything done with that. But here are the Mutas. And the Mutas are going to A-move into the bunkers or just retreat, and then it's going to be pretty painful. While Optimo is going to build a couple of tanks, and that... oh, this is a very dangerous position for a natural if there are so many Mutas out there. And the natural get cancelled. Will we have repair? Yes, we will have a reactive repair, so no proactive SCV standing by just in case of an attack. And Styx is going to take one more expansion. Worker count 17 for Styx, 14 for Optimo. That's pretty low. But will probably increase with the natural if and when it gets up. Meanwhile, more Marines being sent down, but then again, getting pretty damaged. Will we have... no, we won't have any medics, so now the Mutas could have killed off the natural, but now there is Goliath too, so that's not going to work as well as planned. Worker counts for both players are rising, and it's just going to be a bit of a slugfest, looks like. But with 2 Goliaths, I think that Optimo can hold its own very well. And army movement wise, you can see that both players are not as sophisticated as could have been, and these Mutas could have done away with these siege tanks ages ago. Styx took another base, it's good. So I think Styx can keep Optimo contained in the base. Oh, those Mutas don't want to have anything to do with these Goliaths that are doing so much damage. Have they got the range upgrade? No, they haven't. And instead of killing the tanks, they just suicide on the bunkers. That's pretty cruel. But then again, Styx is going to take, look like, no, I thought I saw a drone moving this, yeah, I did, but it's going to stand over here. Styx now with 42 workers, Optimo mining out its main, not really getting any kind of a push going, happy to defend for the time being, losing some stuff in the main, and then these 2 bunkers, they keep killing all the Mutas which are being sent out. Upgrade wise, Styx, very basic, nothing too spectacular. And just taking another base. And you can see Styx getting a little bit bigger and better. 60 workers now, but technology-wise it's still pretty limited. And it's just about trying to break the natural choke. There's no running around killing stuff here, micro. I'm not going to show you a game of Literbot, which is one of the top Zergs right now, but it has got excellent Muta micro, and will try to find your weaknesses and micro units down one at a time. In the end though, this is only going to go one way, because the natural of course is still there for Optimo, but Optimo can't really move out. And there's just a huge amount of stuff coming from Styx. So Styx taking base after base, not able to take the island bases. That is... oh, and now I think that the hammer is going to fall, because Styx has got 13 supply army, it's got no gas. That's pretty weird. It's mining a lot of gas, it has got a lot of drones, it's got 118 workers, hello, that's quite a lot, and now the Mutas have things, so the natural is about to be broken, perhaps, main is mined out, nearly, Optimo holding on for dear life, and Styx is now 150 workers, so in the end might lead itself to death by just making too many workers, and these are all workers being transferred left, right and centre. And still building workers and overlords, oh good god. That is just way too many overlords. It's already maxed and it's building 10 overlords and a lot of workers, now 163 workers. And I can actually see Optimo win this because there is just no supply left in Styx's supply count for army. It's got this bit of army. That's well, but the hand of all these overlords. They are basically everywhere. Styx is just spending all of its money in overlords everywhere. The workers can't find any place to work anymore. Could take this base still. And still overlords are being built. It's spending all of its money on overlords. And Optimo is doing pretty good. But it seems like 160 is about max for workers for Styx. And now the mutas have the natural pacifier. There is no more income for Optimo, and Optimo's army is falling. There is a bit of a bank, so that might keep it in the game a little bit longer. But once these overlords start moving, God, overlords everywhere. Oh no, the mutas have things overrun right now. And Styx is going for the award for the most overlords and most workers as well. 160 workers. Can we see how many overlords there are? 220 overlords. That's enough to go on. 240. Will we reach 250? I think it will. These meters take a while. 275. Perhaps we will reach 275. These meters will have a... Oh, 300. Perhaps we'll reach 300 as well. These meters are not the quickest. And there is the natural still too. 290. Okay, 350 perhaps? You never know. Perhaps Optimo will leave the game. 320. The natural's still there. Perhaps they will kill the comsat as well. Yes. 346. Yahoo! 350 and 356, and that's the game. And a lot of overlords. So congratulations to Styx and Optimo. Thank you for playing the game. So next game up is Marine Hell versus Dave Churchill, and Dave Churchill should receive a special mention because its bot is playing random, will also not be eligible for the elimination stages, and it is not about to do so either. It's not really the best, but it's playing random. Documentation is pretty good, and so many bots have been based on Dave Churchill bot that it is. No, it's really astounding. It's called the University of Alberta bot, where Dave Churchill was studying and working earlier on, and he made it just for students and everyone who wanted to use it. Steamhammer is based on University of Alberta bot, and so many bots have been based on University of Alberta. And you can see here a simple Marine Rush. Marine Hell is a little bit hellishly without barracks right now, so that is a simple rush build, which it now does for all three races, and it's taking care of the enemy quite handily. So with all the workers being dead, I say GG, let's hop into the next game. Good to have a short one for a change, but big shout out to Dave Churchill with all he's done for the Brutal AI world. Of course, running the AIIDE tournament from Canada each year, and of course for his bot as well. So we've got Simplicity as well, a relatively new Zerg, and Rom Danielis from the class of 2013. And what is so special about this bot is that it can use every technology and every unit in the Protoss arsenal. It is the first and only bot, and still only bot, which is using Disruption Web. It is not really effective with it, but it can and will use everything, and that's very impressive. Now going for some kind of Zealot push, looks like. No +1, which might have come in really handy versus a Zerg, but that's still 28, 14 Zealots moving out, and you are going to need a lot of Sunkers, but I think with the Zerg backup, but Simplicity will have to fight really hard to make things work, and the Zealots, although the numbers are being thinned down by the Hydras, are coming in to do a lot of damage. And now they all get killed, and only killing some Sunkens and army units, so I think that Simplicity is okay, especially considering the third base is up and unharmed. But Rom Danielis has got the natural up, and some goons and zealots now, and small peak +1, no +1, no fancy upgrades, and a Corsair. So that's pretty good. Going for a third base, so for 2013 level play, oh no, not going for a third. This is pretty impressive, and the Zerg army is just too good, and the Corsair is not going to have any of that. is going back home to regenerate its shields. Now the third base for Rom Danielis, and still there is a relatively large army. Oh, and a scout. I like scouts. Still no upgrades. So versus Zerg with a lot of Zerglings, +1 would be a great to have, because then you kill, as is out of course, you can kill a Zergling in 2 swipes instead of 1, or in 2 double swipes, let me say more accurately. And these goons, they don't really know when they are outmatched, but they are still fighting hard. A good way to die is, of course, the motto of the Sons of Aya and Daughters, or whatever they have. So Rom Danielis, undeterred, is just going to macro happily on with an okay air force. Simplicity is going to sit back, produce a large army, and will want to drop later on perhaps. Third base now up and running for Rom Danielis, and is just scouting out the base just to make sure that the enemy, oh here, found it there, where the enemy is, and building a lot of army, while the air force is there and not being expanded anymore. So decent army, going to... Is there any kind of detection? Yes, there are 2 observers, but this army is going completely the wrong way. And oh, here come the upgrades. So +1 attack, +1 air attack, observer speed, shuttle speed. That's always nice to have. And taking another base, not the most effective killing wise, but I think that, oh, the scout is after the lurker, that's pretty good. And the entire army with the observers just think, well, whatever, just let it be. We are going to kill this base, and that is a good decision, because if you can keep the number of bases that a Zerg player has down a little bit, you are going to be in a much better position in late game. Oh, and now with the observers on top, I think that Rom Danielis is in a good position to take this entire game, actually. Oh, that's a lot of damage. And I think with a lurker and a sunken in the rear, with the reinforcement, Zerg can hold this quite handily. Roman is taking more bases and defending them. So for an old bot, this is really an exciting level of play. Very interesting, very well thought through. Can do a lot of stuff, build army, attack. It's not really the best in building big death balls, but it can use all the units, and will probably build some cannons over here, and I can only hope it will do that quickly. Or send some units to help them defend, because these lurkers will tear that down. And you can see that the army response is punctual as ever, with 2 observers and a Reaver now, and also finding this base as an added bonus. Simplicity though is taking this base over here, and the army supply for Simplicity is just not there. Simplicity is not getting any kind of an army together, and now we are going to see... oh no, that's Corsair. High Templars as well. Have we got Storm? No, we haven't got Storm, but then they can save up energy. Storm, Reavers, Corsairs. Oh, even a Reaver Shuttle. Hello, that's pretty good. Oh, and this drop of Simplicities, although it's pretty large, is arriving at exactly the wrong time. Observers are there, and whoa, that's quite a number of scouts doing lots of damage against the Overlords. And that shuttle dropping another Reaver right on top of it. Upgrade-wise, Protoss really exploding. And now going for the Disruption map, has got Hallucination as well. I cannot recall having ever seen that, but it would not surprise me if Roman ever, or even in this game, hopefully, is going to demonstrate that to us. Because as you can see, Storm, oh, Storm starting, that's good. Oh, and the Reaver doing the damage thing. A Dark Templar's Cup. Oh, and the Disruption Web. That is pretty cute. Yeah, burrows right underneath it. Oh, that's going to be painful. Where's the Observer? Oh, that's no way to lose a lot of expensive units. Oh, and some DTs taking splash as well. Oh dear, oh dear. But all in all, this large Protoss army is going... Oh, that's a little bit too many lurkers to just A-move into. Where's the Observer? Oh, the Observer's over there. Oh, and the Storm. Pretty well placed Storm, actually. So, Danielis in nice control of the game, building a lot of cannons over here. Another drop is going to be shut down once these Observers arrive. And the scouts are right on top of that. So many scouts, and Danielis is basically maxed. No Arbiter. No Arbiter. Doesn't use Arbiters at all. I don't know. I can't recall. Pun not intended, but nice to have made it, I think. And this is going to be way too... Oh! Those were hallucinated scouts. How cute can you be? So now we've really seen everything. And there is really no way to see which units are hallucinated in OpenUW. That's a lot of Dark Templars. How many? Oh, storms going off. Oh, this is actually someone make a couple of screenshots of this game. This is pretty ballsy. And another one. And Simplicity is having the devil of a job trying to out-micro. But the observers are a bit AFK. That's... where are they? There's one here. And now finding the lurkers get cleaned up. It's still Simplicity doing a remarkable amount of damage with the lurkers. Because the observer coverage is not as on point as it could have been. But Rom Danielis now has had enough. Having killed the third, is pouring straight into the natural, and of course the mains might out. So Simplicity is a little bit out on its... Oh wow, that is... Simplicity of course being the bot of 2018, I think that is a nice victory. Oh, a Dark Archon, but it's caught in the building. That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. And I think this is going to be the... Oh, there is an Ultra as well. That's the last bit of army. And that is... Oh, there's two... There is a lurker somewhere. I can't see where. Oh, here it is. We could just disruption web it. Because before there is an observer over there, that's going to take a little bit of time. Oh, and a Dark Archon. It's a pity that there isn't any unit. And you can see all the upgrades have been made. Mind control. And... Oh, nice storm on the last larvae. So, Rom Danielis, congratulations. Hope if you ever find a moment of your time, please come back and update your bot because it's awesome now already. New entry of the last couple of days, it's Jumpy Dog bot, and it's going to play Martin Royker's Literbot, and I don't really know what it's going to do, and it looks like a 4-pool, so didn't really make much of a difference which enemy I was going to pick. I hope that on this map Icarus that... oh, another drone being built. That's always good. You will have less room for Zerglings, of course, but then again you can perhaps build another hatchery. So the Zerglings are out scouting, and they are just going to visit every base. And once the enemy has been found... Oh, there is a bunker out for Lita already. And that surely must be the end of this... little bit of aggression. Oh, the Marines are even leaving the bunker to help out micro the Zerglings. With the second barracks coming up, I think that Literbot is in a good enough position to hold this game. Then again, there is a little bit of over minerals for Jumpy Doggo and two SCVs over here hugging each other. And I don't really know what Literbot's going to do, but with all these Marines, I think this 4-pool thing, which is not being expanded, is not long for this world. Or it's going to take a while, because the game's still pretty long. But with this and even upgraded Marines, oh, that's pretty cruel. And Jumpy has fallen silent. And how long will it take for a couple of vultures to take the kill? Oh, well, pretty long. But here comes the infantry. And that's the good game. So, Jumpy Doggo, welcome, and hope you can improve more. Well, where is my next game? Next game up is Johan Kaiser, playing as the Yellow Terran versus Gallio and Chen as the Blue Protoss, and we are focusing on Johan Kaiser because Johan Kaiser is pretty lowly ranked. Bot got abandoned I think a couple of years ago already, and it's still pretty reliable in what it's doing. It's pretty slow, but it can defend rather well. And that's really the reason why it's still there, because you can see what a new bot is going to do. Marines being produced, and depots and a turret being built as well. So that's a nice pocket of Marines, while Gallio and Chen is going for a kind of a green thing, and lots of bunkers being built as well. So this is the basic defensive stance of Johan Kaiser, now posturing outside with a handful of Marines, a large handful, and 2 more bunkers. Chen going for an expansion and a little bit of an army, and Johan Kaiser is just going for a lot of Marines and more bunkers. So every once in a while 2 more bunkers get built, and then the Marines get back into that with a turret for extra defense. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, and some medics as well. So that's pretty good. And it will take a lot of Protoss ground force to break any kind of defense like this. You've even got detection with the turret. And I think once Oh, now with the tank as well. I think, is there stim at all? No, there aren't any upgrades just for the Protoss. But still, that is a sizable bit of bio, and with 2 bases to support it, even versus a 4-base, soon-to-be 4-base Protoss, that can do a lot of damage. And Protoss is building a lot of gateway units. So a bit of a standoff happening, not much fire being exchanged, tanks not sieging, lots of gas in the hands of Gallio and Chen. And Chen is just building more stuff. No upgrades. Oh, and all the medics just suicided. That's pretty clumsy. And now the Marines are tearing into the Protoss, and look at how many firepower you've got. This is a nice shootout, but without medics, I think... Oh, now some medics are coming in. And that might easily tip the balance, although the production capacity for Chen is greater. And you can see how many units are streaming in, and so much damage done to the Terran army. Oh, and now all the Marines have left the bunker, so this defense is worth nothing. And Chen is just building units after unit after unit. No more upgrades. Oh, cloak and tank. It would pay to have Johan Kaiser play a really long game, because with cloaks and siege mode, perhaps it might have gotten some fancy show on the road. Chen building more stuff, not really going for higher tech units. I think there are a couple of observers. No, there are no observers. Oh yeah, there is one coming in. And for the rest it's just maxed. So that's GG. 3 more games left. New bot, Fergel O'Reilly as the purple Zerg, and G-bot as the... Oh, that's not a Zerg, that's a Protoss. Fergel O'Reilly as the purple Protoss, and G-bot as the blue Protoss. Let's see what this brother battle of Ire is going to bring. That will be a bit too many Bs this far in the broadcast. The cast is going to be pretty long, I believe. But there are so many bots which I also wanted to show and not really focus on all the top dogs. We are going to see them in the top 16, and I'm going to do a big cast of the middle of the pack too, to demonstrate every bot in competition right now. So Fergel O'Reilly building a prodigious amount of gateways, and now with a cyber core as well. Oh, finally some goons are being built. G-bot going for 2 zealots and a goon as well. Now, oh, nice pylon on the edge, that's good for vision. And the goons are coming in, but they aren't really attacking. And these 2 are stuck on something too, so they are just going to suicide. And G-bot has found a way to make units attack. Oh, now the goon is returning fire, that's good. But all in all, the combat micro of Fergel O'Reilly leaves a little bit room for improvement. Now, both players just producing units, and I think that's a lot of vision for G-bot. G-bot hasn't got an observer, yes, it's got one, pretty safe, and then it's just going to attack into the enemy, and the enemy is not really attacking anymore, just breakdancing with its goon, and is not really going to work. 2 more goons over here. I think it's left up to this expeditionary force to dispatch the enemy, and as the enemy is not attacking at all, you can sort of imagine, and I just want to have a peek at what the ranking of Fergel O'Reilly actually is. Oh, it's last. So it won 1 game. That's 4 wins, surely? Yeah. It won 1 game and it lost 68. Currently unreliable. Attack functions unreliable. Yes, that is accurate. So that's very... that's a pity. Hope we'll get one more update, because I would really like to have seen what else it can do. G-bot taking another base and building Reavers, so is on the way to a high attack plan as well. Meanwhile, Fergel O'Reilly is going to lose the game, so without further ado, we're going to go into the next game. Yeah, what should I do? How big are these files? Next game up, Star Crusher versus UP StarCraft AI 2016. The name gives it away, it's from 2016, and Star Crusher didn't start. Oh, that's not typical for Star Crusher, surely. Should do the U as well. Yeah, it lost a lot of games, and you can see why. So, pity, but... And here come the Zerglings, which kill everything. That's GG. Last game of today. Wow. It's Megabot, which is basically a Spanish project playing either playing either Skynet, Simp, or it's playing two big Protosses, really. I could look that up. Mega bot. It's playing Skynet, Zelnaga and Nussbot. And Nussbot is a Protoss bot which is now deactivated on our server at least. And it's playing mainly Zealot and occasionally Goon. And Zelnaga is one of the older bots. It's not active on the StarCraft AI tournament server. It does play... Oh, look at that. That is pretty ballsy. You can see the work account for Kael'Mod being pretty low. All the Marines are being sent out to do something over here, while so many workers are being killed. And this probe must have a... Oh, finally, two Marines, so 3 Marines. Yes, that's how you do it. Send some Marines to kill it. But we're right now worker lead of 5 for Megabot, and unfortunately it doesn't show which build it's playing. But we are focusing on Kaon today, and Kaon is building Marines, doing okay with them, but I don't think that these Marines will be able to hold these decently micro goons, and unfortunately we are not going to see what Kaonbot can do, but as it is not winning too many other games, too many games, you can conclude it will do something like this as well. Just basic Marine play with an academy, upgrades, no, a little bit too early for that, and Megabot just rolling over it. And that is going to be the GG. So this was the end of the broadcast about the bottom 16 of these beautiful AIs. Still some very attractive gameplay and good moves, but the competition is so good that it won't get you as far anymore as it used to be. So, but still very much work been put into those, and of course the level of gameplay compared to when the scene started 2010-11 is so very good. It's worth the watch. So I hope you're enjoying it. Next week either we'll have a look at the top 16 or around that, or the middle of the pack again, and please recommend me some games. Vacation is over, I have to go back to work. You can find my email address in the top left. You can catch them on Discord as well. Do send me some games and I will cast them. For now, thank you for watching. I hope to see you again next week. For now, I say goodbye.